nobody needs that. You're a butcher cutting people open. In a way, that's true. We are literally cutting people open.
Yeah, that's what surgery is.
But again, I own my trade. If you want it, we do it safely. I remember I had a patient actually who said,
Before we get started with our episode, we're going to hear from our sponsors. When I first started this podcast, I'll be honest, I got really overwhelmed. There was just so much to do, and I was kind of on my own to figure it all out. I would have loved to have Shopify as a partner. They have amazing tools such as their design studio, AI to help you figure out content creating, and even custom marketing campaigns that'll fit directly for you and your business. Turn your big business idea into sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Rebecca. Go to shopify.com/Rebecca. Shopify.com/Rebecca. Now let's get started with this week's episode.
Questions, and I have so many things I want to learn from you.
let's do it.
You're a plastic surgeon.
I am.
So I want to know, how does a plastic surgery deviate from the regular med school? When do you decide this is my specialty? What made you want to go into that? That's where I want to start, and I have so many questions.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question.
Okay.
I would say most plastic surgeons have a narcissistic personality. Probably not the right answer, but we're pretty confident people. We like people to see our results. I think.
I have an uncle who's an ortho surgeon and another uncle who's a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, so they're right on similar. But I would argue that it's harder to be a plastic surgeon than both of those.
I love it.
And I'm happy to talk to those. Think about it. I take beautiful people and I cut their face open. Not only do I cut their face open, they're going to have a scar that people are going to see. The pressure of what we do, somebody blows out their knee. Okay, they got to fix it. They come to you because they got to blow their knee. Or same thing. You have a bad cervical spine, whatever. You have to fix it. So, I think I like pressure. So that's one thing. I wanted to be an architect actually prior to that. Prior to being a physician. Yeah.
What made you decide? Okay, no more architecture.
My mother is a nurse, and she was like, it was back in the economy wasn't awesome when I was kind of making the decision. She's like, you can't be an architect. You're not going to make a management. I was like, okay.
All right, well, I
was always good at math and science and stuff. So, it just kind of evolved. Med school is such a long process to decide. You decide you want to go to med school. Then you decide, okay, I think I want to be a surgeon or a medical doctor. Then you decide I want to be this type of surgeon. So it's such a long process that it molds. And I actually thought about neurosurgery for a while, and I went with the neurosurgeons. This isn't a diss to your uncle. He's probably a very nice person. But I was with the neurosurgeons like, you're too nice of a guy. You can't be a neurosurgeon.
He would agree.
Yeah, so I think the ortho people are pretty cool, but they also have, every field has it. Yeah.
Every field has a personality.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really necessarily fit the plastics. I came straight from the OR, so I wasn't sure there was going to be video. But I got my sweater on. But
what is the personality for plastic surgeons usually?
I would say the classic is, slick back hair, 3-piece suit.
Okay.
Which, I have 2 suits and I wear them once a year, yeah.
You're the fun guy.
I'm a little bit, yeah. I'm kind of the newer age plastic surgeon.
I like that so much. Okay, so what made you decide plastics?
Those things all together, really. I think plastics probably also has the most creative component to it.
Okay.
Like ortho, neurosurgery, you follow the book, you do it like the book, and that's the answer. Right. I've been able to really evolve my procedures and tweak them and do this. And, people ask me for crazy shit that nobody else has done before.
What's the craziest thing someone's asked you for? I have ADHD. I'm just going to throw questions at you.
The craziest thing I had a woman who, she was part of the witness protection program. And she was beautiful. Beautiful skin. She was very young. I think she was 28 at the time. And she said she needed to look like a completely different person.
Oh, that's devastating.
But she was beautiful. So it's not that everybody has to be good looking, but this woman was pretty. And I could have made her look not good, or I had to keep her looking good. So I did all these procedures too. I did temple implants. We did a chin implant. I did buccal fat. She tied her hair too. We did a couple things. I never heard from her again. I think that's the point, really.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But, that was probably my most bizarro. I get plenty of crazy, split the tongue, the spider tongue stuff. Yeah, that for I think the general person would seem odd, but
It's someone's thing.
I mean,
It's
yes.
someone's thing. It's what they want
Listen,
with their body. Whatever works.
I don't do anything that anybody needs anymore.
Yeah.
Like people say nobody needs that. I was like, yeah, you're right. They didn't need it, but we can do it safely. It makes them happy. I still do a little bit, but I used to do a ton of trauma. Big trauma cases, gunshot wounds in Chicago. I think Chicago congratulations, Chicago, just got the most dangerous city in the world with the most homicides. So be careful.
Wow. I'm staying inside.
Yeah, probably over 100 gunshot wounds to the face. Wow. And those cases are complicated. You work on them for hours, and then the person is like still mean to you after as the surgeon.
Oh,
I don't like this, I don't like that. And I've done surgeries on people to make them look just a little bit nicer. And they freaking send flowers to the office. They're like, "Oh my God, you changed my life!" And then it's a little bit sad in a way, right? Because you make them a little more pretty, or get the little bit of fat out of their face, and it like changes their life. But yeah, I mean, it's if you can do it safely, you have somebody you trust, you're clear with your goals. I think it's a reasonable thing to do.
I'm sure that out of all of the medical fields,
are we allowed to drink beer on this podcast?
I'm just gonna. It's apple juice. It's totally apple juice. I don't get apple juice.
Chicago local brewery. Yeah. Might as well get sponsored.
Oh yeah. I think it's Shopify this week, but
can you Shopify booze? I don't think so.
Maybe a koozie. You can Shopify a koozie. But so I'm sure out of all the medical fields, I feel like plastics gets the most judgments and misconceptions.
Yeah, there's definitely, I'll tell you less so. There's definitely a taboo associated with that.
Yeah.
I think, it's like, nobody needs that. You're a butcher cutting people open. In a way, that's true. We are literally cutting people open.
Yeah, that's what surgery is.
But again, I mean, I own my trade. If you want it, we do it safely. I remember I had a patient actually who said, "You seem more concerned about my outcome than my neurosurgeon." And I mean, because this person, I only do face and I pretty much only do jawline now. So they're literally walking around and everybody's going to know if I did a good job or a bad job. So, and we really are, most of us, super dedicated to getting people happy.
Yeah.
Especially in the day of the review, we're kind of the slaves of the review, as you are, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So the taboo portion of it, it's like there's the extremes of, what you want. We were talking about veneers, dyeing your hair. Like, where do you draw the line? Doing a facelift. A lot of people just really don't feel like themselves until they look like they feel. So
yes.
I really think we're able to give that, and that's really our goal. And I'm telling you, the power of giving somebody just a little bit of confidence is like,
it is life-changing.
These people love me. It's crazy.
It's completely.
I mean, I am very good, so, but they're very thankful, and I'm thankful to be part of it.
I love that.
It's true.
You were talking about like people.
I'll say,
go ahead,
being a plastic surgeon is a little bit selfish because it is the easier way. It's easier. I can be an emotional person. Like I hated dealing with cancer and death and kids and babies.
Yeah.
So I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. So that portion of real medicine, I say I'm not a real doctor anymore. Like I think it's the easier way out is plastics. So the people doing the big recons of the cancers of the face. I mean, these are people dying. These are people like you're cutting their tongue out. You're like for good reason. I mean, they're cutting their tongue off for cancer. So
it's so traumatic for the surgeon.
It really is. So, in a way, I would say being a plastic surgeon is a little bit of a cop out. But
I think it's a different kind of necessary. Yeah. Like it's not life or death, but like there are people in this world who just feel so out of place in their own skin or feel so miserable in their own skin that if you are able to make them feel like they love themselves or they don't hate themselves when they look in the mirror or they feel like I love how you said they look how they feel on the inside. Like that's beautiful. That's so necessary for some people. And like you're right, is it needed? No, but I feel like the people who get the most offended about plastic surgery being a thing aren't your customers anyway. Like, what does it matter?
That's how the social media world comes. Like, I love the haters because they just help the process.
They just pay our bills.
It's like you're never coming to see me anyways,
right.
Guy. So my way to say it the best is like, don't hate the player, hate the game. Like, listen, I'm sorry that when I make people hot, they're happier. Like, I think that's I understand why that's a problem because hot people do better or hot people are happier or whatever.
There
But
is a stigma around it.
it sucks. I mean, it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate,
but
that's
it's how it
reality,
is,
but it's our reality.
and that's what we do.
And
yeah.
if you're gonna assist people like in playing the game, then
goals make
like
people
let's
happier.
play.
Yeah.
Let's play. No, I think that's
I'm a
valid.
captain of the game. Yeah. I love it.
So what is your? I have so many questions.
Keep going.
I want to know like your like favorite kind of procedure and like what actually goes into that. But I also want to know about, you said that there's people that you've worked on and done like real things and they hate you. Like I want to know some of your client horror stories.
Everybody loves me. I mean, I will say I'm very dedicated to making. I tell every patient, I swear to God, I will do everything I can to make you happy, and it's true. Like, I make enough money now. I do enough surgery, so my goal is to get it perfect, and I'm a perfectionist in that way. I have a lot of problems, but one thing I do is when I want to set my mind to something, I get it. Like my wife always says, like, "Fuck, Ben, if you like," I'm building a sauna on my roof, and I was like, "Babe, I want to get a sauna," and she's like, "That's a horrible idea, but I can tell it's in your head, and we're going to end up with a sauna," which we did. Yeah, I would say the people that my worst case scenarios are when me and the patient are on the wrong page.
Okay.
So, and I'm getting better. I'm still learning. This is a practice. Always, you're getting better. I had a woman, very beautiful young woman, what I thought very feminine and nice, and we did a surgery. It went great. I'm like, you look awesome. He's like, you know what? I was going for something a little more masculine, and I was like, oh. Well, I guess I missed the button. So we changed it out. I mean, I got her a new implant. Like we changed it. We made it a little more. This is a little more square, a little more sharp, a little more. But like those are the times I think, from a plastic surgery perspective, when the patient and the surgeon have to be on the same level from communication. So it's normally a communication issue, I would say.
Okay.
Because I don't do I want to do.
Yeah.
So when people ask me like, what's your favorite procedure? I was like, I only do what I want now. Like I'm lucky,
that.
like you're doing what you want. You were a teacher. You didn't love it, and now you're doing what you want. So that's what everybody should be doing that. There should be somebody who loves doing butts. There should be somebody who loves doing boobs. There should be somebody who loves doing the jawline. That's me. And you should just do more and more and more of that. You get better at it. More people come to you for it. You get even better at it. Then you end up doing what you love, and you end up being really good at what you love. Like it's like this beautiful process. So that's how it goes.
Like me, I'm sure there's so many people out there like me that like you understand the pretense or you understand the concept of like what plastic surgery is. You know what a boob job is. You know that people get work done on their face, you know, when they get implants. But like I don't actually understand what it is. Like what are you actually putting in the implants? Like what are they? And then like how do you do the different things? Like give me some examples.
We're gonna take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. When I first started this podcast, I'll be honest, I got really overwhelmed. There was just so much to do, and I was kind of on my own to figure it all out. I would have loved to have Shopify as a partner. Shopify helps millions of businesses all around the world. In fact, 10% of all e-commerce in the US uses Shopify. They have amazing tools such as their design studio, AI to help you figure out content creating, and even custom marketing campaigns that'll fit directly for you and your business. Shopify is your commerce expert with expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns to so many things that I'm probably not even thinking of or even fathoming. Is fathoming a word? It is today. Turn your big business idea into sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Rebecca. Go to shopify.com/Rebecca. Shopify.com/Rebecca. Now, back to the episode.
It's funny. I had the patient I did prior to this, my last patient. He was like, so what are the parameters I can help you adjust? You know, he's like, engineers are the worst patients, engineers and doctors probably. And he was an engineer. So, how it works typically, it's like if you were going to remodel your kitchen. You would say, listen, I want some kind of tile back here. I want the backsplash to look like this. I need some sort of a vent by the oven. And then the contractor, the plastic surgeon would say, okay, I think you could do a Gore-Tex chin implant. We could do, fat pattern reduction. We could tighten the mucosa. We could do this and that. So, because this young guy, and the guys are the worst, by the way, young guy, really, he wanted like the details. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? I was like, well, I can tell you how I'm going to do it. But this is after 20 years of experience, med school, everything. So, what I tell them is not going to necessarily make the makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
you like, let's say you wanted something. I would say, show me some photos. Show me people you think are attractive. Show me what you don't like about yourself. The best thing for me is when people show me photos that they hate, which is normally what makes them come in. Like somebody took a photo from below with their chin down like this, and I'm like, okay, if anybody takes that photo of anybody, they look but I get it. This is what you don't like. So, I mean, and then we just kind of work together. We build a plan and we execute it. So, and it can be stage-wise. It can be all at once. And then we have, from the surgical perspective, we have like parameters we stay within to keep things safe, to keep things FDA approved. Like, for instance, I do a lot of chin implants. There's Gore-Tex, there's Silastic, which is a silicone essentially. There's a MedPore, there's a polyethylene mesh. I mean, I have all of these different materials. For a specific person, I'll select this specific implant. Some people have like an autoimmune disease, so you use this one. Some people, have a high infection rate, so you use this one. So yeah, it's like really tailor-made. Plastic surgery is probably the one is the most, again, I'm putting us on a pedestal, but it's the one where there's the most like kind of selection from the surgeon perspective. So we were talking about Istanbul, Turkey, like going there to get plastic surgery. And you reference like hair transplants or rhinoplasty. They are known for rhinoplasty and they're known for hair. So they do a lot of rhinoplasty and do a lot of hair. So I think it's reasonable to go to Istanbul if you have a surgeon that you trust. It's reasonable to go anywhere, but you just want the person that does it every day, over and over and over. I mean, I could teach a monkey what I do if they did enough surgeries. So it's just like it's about doing enough of the same. Of my thing, I'm going to do 350 this year. Wow. There's people who do 10. So you don't want to go to, but you don't want me to do your breast either because I'm not going to do any of them. So you want to go to the person that does that thing like over and over and over. And it's that repetition that allows us to like kind of perfect it.
I love, what he's referring to, we talked a lot about beauty tourism before.
Exactly.
Right. So like what, you probably, know so much more than I do. I want to know so much about like, for those that don't know, people have been kind of looking into traveling around the world to places that specialize in and have cheaper services.
Not only cheaper. So I told you 60% of my patients fly in. And this is intercontinental. I get a lot of Europeans. Crazy. I do a ton of Canadians. And they come to me because I'm like a really super niche.
Yeah.
They go to, there are some people that travel because of the price. It's not out of the question. I would just be really cautious, right? I mean, it goes with anything. Like you buy a cheap car, you got to check the brakes.
Right, absolutely.
So you buy a cheap surgery. Doesn't mean they're going to do a bad job, but you just
want to look into it.
Be a little more suspicious about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't charge an exorbitant amount for my cost to what I do, So yeah, just see why it's cheap, I guess would be the question. But yeah, I think traveling. I have a buddy in Atlanta who does a great rhinoplasty, and I'll tell my patients from Chicago, like, dude, go see him. He's great. He's worth the trip. So there are times when the travel's, I think, worth it. The things you get in trouble for is if there's a problem.
Yeah.
So if they call me at midnight and they're in Atlanta and I'm in Chicago, it's like
can't do anything.
A little bit. Yeah. So my patients all get my cell phone, and if they call me, I deal with it. So yeah, those are the things I see as a. If it was me or my wife or my family, those are the things that I would look at.
So when it comes to like other countries and like things that they specialize in, like we were talking about how Istanbul and Turkey specialize in veneers, rhinoplasty, hair transplants. What are some other places around the world and the services that you like recommend? Oh, if you're looking for XYZ, this is definitely.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't have a hard, fast recommendation, but like the Brazilian butt lift was named there for a reason. I would say Iran also does a lot of rhinoplasties. Iran, I mean, Persian, Iranian people have really strong noses, thick skin, so they do a lot of rhinos.
I never would have guessed that one.
China, Korea do a lot of the kind of facial shaping stuff, which I do. They do. I have a lot of patients of mine that will consider me or going back to Korea because they do a lot of like mandibular shaving, which I don't recommend, and they'll do a lot of like, facial shaping. I don't recommend it because they get it and then their skin sags essentially.
Okay.
But it's complicated.
So it's like the shaving of like their kind
the
of
V-line surgery is kind of what they call it. It's Asian anatomy has a really broad mandible shape, so even in females, the mandible is really broad, so they shave the angle, but then the skin's sagging. So instead of doing that, there's ways to manipulate it. I feel that are better. I can't think of anything else offhand. There's good people everywhere, particularly with this globalization of the world. I think I'm looking at opening a clinic in Spain. I mean,
that's exciting.
So yeah, I mean, you could. anybody could go anywhere, right? So
Yeah.
my fellow from last year is from Puerto Rico. I had dinner with him the other day. Jose Sanchez Perez, very nice guy. Look him up.
What does he specialize in?
He's kind of like me. I mean, he learned from me. He learned from my partner. He does a lot of rhino. He does a lot of jawline. I do jawline. My partner does rhino. Stephen Dan, also very good in Chicago.
So there's
That
this.
is a lot left behind.
No, that's a good thing. Like we want to know who the good ones are. Absolutely, the medical
Ping
care
us,
is
DM
important.
us, we'll tell. I really, trust me, I'm at the point I had a woman ask me today about hairline lowering thing, and I was like, you know what? There's a guy across the street, Doug Seidel. It's what he does every day. You really should see him. I have a buddy that does eyes, oculoplastics, Paul Phelps. Like I have a person that does everything.
Yeah, that you recommend.
I don't want to do anything that's not going to make people happy. Like it's just the reality.
I
of it.
love that.
And we're lucky because it's elective. We can do that.
Absolutely.
Right?
So there's this concept in plastics like called a botched plastic surgery. Like what exactly is that?
It's what it sounds like. It's like I'm sure. And for the record, I will tell you, the surgeon is losing their mind. They hate it as well. But it's just when something goes wrong, and something goes wrong. Let's say 1% of the time. 1%. That's a low chance.
There's still somebody that gets it.
But I do 400 this year. So that means I'm going to have 4 people that I got to like really work with and, do what I can and make it right. And I'll lose like weeks of sleep, literally.
Wow.
So it's horrible. So it's when the surgery goes wrong, whether they get an infection or I don't know, or either the surgeon messed up or I had a girl get drunk and fall down the stairs and she split it open, So lots of things can go wrong. There are also, I think, the botched, the show on E, which I was on an episode of.
Were you really?
Yeah, we helped them with a complication they had of a patient in Chicago. I don't know what episode it was. But yeah, they came to Chicago. Me and my partner helped them kind of deal with the patient.
That's crazy.
But that one typically is focusing on more like maybe the surgeon was not doing what was made, right, or they way overdid it to a problematic component, or like maybe they shouldn't have been doing what they were doing, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think because it's a little more sexy, extreme. But yeah, botched just means when it goes bad. And listen, it can go bad. And these are elective surgeries.
Yeah.
It sucks. I would tell you, I had a little podcast thing with one of my good friends, and we talked about that, like the mental health component of it for surgeons, to take somebody who's beautiful, who doesn't need anything, to cut them open, do the surgery, and then it doesn't go perfect. I'm talking like perfect. Even if they get a little suture spit, it sucks for us. It sucks for them, obviously, but it sucks for us too. So
yeah,
I think that's the hard part of it. Yeah.
I think that's a really big misconception that people have is I think many people think surgeons kind of not necessarily dehumanize their patients in a way that's like, I don't know how to explain it without sounding really bad, but like sometimes they have to remove themselves. And I think that for plastics specifically, it can be really easy to think, oh, well, I'm just a job to them. And I think they don't realize how much.
Yeah. When everybody asks me what makes a good plastic surgeon, I always say how they deal with their complications. Because there are people who say, like, too bad, your problem. And I think, I don't know, maybe it had to do something with how they were brought up or what, but I mean, my complications, and I have them, the least of anybody. But I honestly, I own them. I like do everything I can to make the people happy. And this is all you can do, so, and to reduce them. And but how I reduce them is I do like only my thing. Yeah. That's why I don't do breasts. That's why I don't do bras. That's why I don't do boobs. You just like super hyper focus. I mean, you just super specialize.
So what are some things that can go wrong in plastic surgery? Like where do these issues come from? If they get an infection, what makes that more likely? Like what? It's
a good question. If we knew it, we would solve them all. I think, the infection risk, maybe the person is on some sort of an immunosuppressant for bowel disease. I think like I said, somebody falls down the stairs. Some person has some collagen disorder, so their wounds don't heal as well. I've had people on I can't think of it offhand, the acne medication. Accutane. And that affects wound healing. So we ask all these questions, we do all this stuff, but all of these things can affect the healing process. Some people just scar shade. So, like the Hispanic, Asian skin has a propensity to keloid or hyperpigment. So, now we know, and I have those conversations with people like, hey, your scar versus like my scar, the best skin to cut is really, really white skin or really, really black skin. So if you're in the middle of the spectrum, you're going to have a scar that's going to be a problem. But my skin's easy because it cut me, it's white.
Can you see my scar?
Where? No, not really.
Really?
Yeah, where? maybe in the cheek a little bit there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the reason that's a bad scar or a noticeable scar is because it's on a convex portion of the face.
Okay.
So it's on like your cheek mound. Was it like a mole? Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Classic.
like sticks.
So, so that's a bad. Like, it's funny. I had a young kid, and the mom wanted me to cut off this mole, and I was like, well, and it was obviously not a bad mole, and I was like, that's on the if it's on a concave portion of the face, you can hide it.
Yeah.
But when it's on a convex portion, it catches the light reflex, and you see it. It almost looks like a dimple. So yours isn't bad, but yeah.
It wasn't just for funsies. They were worried that it
of
were
course.
gonna become cancers. I had like 6 of them, but this was the rest were like either on my back or on my chest.
But
this
that
was on
one
my
is classic
face.
where it would be a problem. Like,
Yeah.
And so a good plastic surgeon would say, listen, we can cut that out, but that one's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was like here in the crease, okay, cut that out, no problem.
That'd be a
You're
lot
going to love me, yeah. So
Madroma was my friend as a kid.
yeah, I mean, and now it's only when you really smile or move where you see it, right?
If I mention it, if I don't mention it, people.
No, it
just
looks like
assume
a
it's
little
visible.
dimple, so
Yeah,
let it be.
interesting. Okay, so then what is like? I know this is gonna vary depending on procedure, but what is a typical recovery after plastic surgery kind of look like? Like, what are some things that people need to keep, or even preparation for and recovery from?
Yeah, I would say prep. I tell people to act like they're going to run a marathon. Like, even though it's elective, easy, relatively surgery,
It's still surgery.
You're still healing from it. So yeah, so prep, nothing crazy. Eat healthy, do your best. The recovery for my stuff, I say you're going to look stupid for 7 to 10 days, and then you should be able to go to the grocery store, and people are going to be like, "What happened to that chick?" It's different. If you're getting a tummy tuck after 7 days, you can wear a little Skims. I saw you do Skims promotion stuff, so you can wear a little nice tight Skims. You can kind of hide it. If it's your face, it might be more like 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, it's the recoveries are generally, and we really focus on those because again, these are people doing surgery for no reason, essentially. You know what I mean? Or elective surgery. So we optimize people. We optimize the recovery. Whereas if somebody gets in a car wreck and we got to fix their face, you don't have the opportunity to prep them, right? Or even to post-op.
Exactly.
So this one we do. Yeah, a lot of us have our own little protocols that we do for the post-op and pre-op period to really, really maximize things.
So what happens? So I know you were just talking about like different kinds of implants, and like obviously your implants that you do for people are going to be way different than the implants when it comes to like breasts or anything like that. But what happens when someone messes their implants up? Like, what is that? Like, you just said that someone fell down the stairs, busted their chin open.
Yeah. So then, we deal with it. So that gal, I had to remove the implant. We let it heal for 2 months, and I put a new one back in. Somebody.
Is that something that like insurance would cover? Or is that like a whole new surgery that?
It's my protocol that I fix it. Like,
Okay.
Because again, this is the thing, right? I want it to be perfect. I don't want this girl walking around with a funky looking chin. So. She was a very pretty woman. So, not that was the reason. But, so, yeah, I consider it, if you pay for your surgery, you're going to look good. It might take me longer than I wish it had. It might be more of a pain in your ass. But we will get it perfect, I say, ultimately. So, yeah, it's most of us have our own protocols where it should be hard for you to mess it up.
Okay.
I did a guy that plays in the NFL. I did some MMA fighter people. And I tell them, at 3 months, you can fight or play again. But if you do it before those 3 months, it's your fault. If after those 3 months it affects, it's my fault. So, yeah, we just have like our protocols. And it's hard, it's set up pretty good. It's $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
It's studied well. We know how to make things go properly. But yeah.
This is more like, this has to do with a story that somebody sent me, but like I don't know enough to have an opinion on it first. So like if someone were to get like breast implants, how easily are those to like pop or mess up? Like they're like what? Like they're just like the silicone pouches, right?
Yeah,
like
there's a solid silicone. There's like a saline. There's different materials. It's pretty hard to mess up.
Yeah.
I think there was one woman who got like shot in the chest, and her breast implant like stopped it.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's like
what?
bulletproof breast implants. So it's really hard. You have to break the skin or mess with it, or if it's done properly and things heal normally, you shouldn't be able to mess with it. After the, again, every surgeon has their own protocols. For me, I tell them 3 months before they can really get punched in the face from the chin perspective. For the breast, we're gonna all have our own protocols with because you can go under the muscle, you can go above the muscle. There's a lot of different techniques,
right?
And each technique will have its own protocol. But once if you follow your orders, you shouldn't really be able to mess with it other than like cutting yourself open and.
Well, someone sent me a story, and they weren't the surgeon, but they were like a nurse within the practice. And they had a customer come in who like was irate, just so upset. And she said, I need an appointment. One of my implants burst. So now I'm lopsided. Yeah. Someone needs to fix this immediately. I cannot go out in public like this. Like I can't go out in public like this. I look ridiculous. Like I look like I have one boob. Like I can't.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
I can't go up there under lopsided.
You're allowed to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
and so they were like, okay, yeah, not a problem. And the doctor came out and said, what happened? Yeah. Like this shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
We need to figure out why it burst. And she wouldn't tell him. Like she wouldn't give the reason what happened.
Listen, people, maybe you're doing drugs.
Something you're not supposed to.
There could be a lot of things going on. And then some of them, if there's saline's just like liquid, like your drink there, they could theoretically pop. I mean, there could be like a defect in the manufacturing or something. So actually, the botched episode we were on, the woman had a neck expander for this like mole they removed or something, and it leaked. So
it happens.
It can happen. So it could be that simple, or she was doing something nefarious, out of the norm. Somebody was like jumping on her chest or something. I don't know.
You never know.
You never know. I mean, people surprise you.
Well, he told her, he said, if we're going to look into this getting covered, we have to prove that this was a defective pouch or something that like wasn't supposed to happen. Well, it wasn't supposed to happen. She's like, okay, but I need you to tell me what happened for me to be able to know that and for me to advocate for you to get the procedure covered. What do you mean? Of course it's going to be covered because this shouldn't have happened. Ma'am, I can't promise that unless you tell me what happened. Wouldn't tell him.
It's interesting. I have had a few patients ask me, so what happens if I need to change it out? What happens if something goes wrong? My model, I call it the Tempur-Pedic model, where when you buy my surgery, it's all included. Like if I have to swap it out 3 times, I'll just eat the cost. So because I had a Tempur-Pedic bed for a long time, and like it got crooked or something, and I called them, and they just sent me a new one the next day. And I was like, holy shit, like this is
That's amazing.
Best. This is beautiful. Yeah, like shout out to Tempur-Pedic. And so that's how, I charge enough that, if that was me and the breast burst, I would say sucks for both of us. Don't do it next time, please. And, again, if you have this like over and over, if this one comes back a third time or fourth time, like you gotta cut it off.
Be like, okay, what are you
Most
doing?
of us like kind of make enough money. We're busy enough that, she has to wait maybe till we get a surgical opening kind of thing. But yeah.
Do you think he was being a little unreasonable?
I don't know this person or this case or, there's crazy people in the world, but she didn't want her breast to pop.
No.
So
no one does. No one would.
I mean, I tell my people when the chin's in, you can do whatever you want. I say that. So if it moves, then
that's on
me,
you.
right? Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah. We all have our own model. Yeah.
I've seen you've done a lot of videos like looking at celebrities to see if they
try not to do that many, honestly. My team makes me do more.
They're interesting.
It's like it's so low hanging fruit. You got to do some of them, but yeah.
I'm so interested. How can you tell? Like, how can you look at someone and tell?
It's small things. Like for instance, the chin typically has a little bit of a dimple here under the submental. So if it's too smooth, that's unnatural. I think that you can normally see the lateral curve of the nose, and if it's a little too sharp and you see an extra shadow. So it's just by experience, I would say, overall. I mean, there are obviously the obvious cases that the people look odd. So, those are the quote-unquote easy ones. It's just new experience. It's like you can tell if somebody does a podcast with equipment or good equipment, right? You're probably like, that's why you have good equipment. So you appreciated that to that point. So it's similar to like you could tell if a teacher was, very thoughtful and thinking about her lessons plan or somebody who was just...
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like... Listen, the best surgeon in the world and the worst surgeon in the world are much closer than people think. Technically, ability-wise, it's just about how like dedicated, how much of the thing you do, similar to the podcasters, similar to the teachers. It's about the human range of ability. You could probably be a great surgeon. I could be a great teacher, but it's like how much effort and time we put into it. There are people who somehow can be a little bit better than others, like authentic, like whatever genetically, neither of us is going to dunk many basketballs. Yeah. But, so we have our limits, but yeah.
You just made me think of 2 stories that someone sent me, but I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do first. Or this one more had to do with the question that I asked you.
Let's hear it.
So this one girl just came back to her plastic surgeon. She had a rhinoplasty, so she got a nose job. And she was also very upset, very irate. And she said, "You promised me no one would be able to tell that I got a nose job." And he said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Everyone in my life can tell that I got a nose job." And she just kept going on about how this was his fault. And she specifically wanted this job done that no one would know and that it looked very natural and blah, blah, blah. And she didn't want anyone to be able to look at her and tell that she got a nose job.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, what are they saying? Like, I think this looks very natural. This is like some of my best work. I'm really not understanding why you're so upset." She's referring to the people who have looked at her every day, and you look a little different. And she's like, "They shouldn't be able to tell." And he's like, "But if you wanted to look exactly the same, you wouldn't have gotten a nose job."
I would say that's a communication error, right? Like, and we all have them. I think, like the gal I told you, I thought looked amazing, and she wanted to be a little more masculine. I own that. I swapped it out. Like, it's like I'm scarred in my brain from it. So that surgeon and that patient were not on the same page when they did the surgery. He's happy with the results, but she's not. But she paid. So I tell every patient, I'm like, "Listen, we're doing this for you," because they're all like, "What do I need, doc?" And I'm like, "Well, why are you here? Like, I really spend the majority of my time. Why? What are you going to go home and look at? You're going to look in the mirror. Why are you here? Why are you here?" And then at the very end, I'll say like, "Okay, we could do this and this and this." Because again, I could make them beautiful in my eyes, but so yeah, that's a simple classic situation, by the way, because for her and the patient and the surgeon, because they're both in their own minds. Well, I guess she's not. So more for her.
She liked the nose. She just didn't like that people thought it looked different.
Yeah.
She liked the nose.
But she paid $20,000 to make it look different. So it's
like at what point is it like?
And people are unreasonable to a certain point too. I have like a preoperative quiz I give people with all these questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a hard one. I think I really don't fault anybody in that scenario, or I guess if anything, I would fault the surgeon. You just got to do.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I bet he was a young guy or a gal, and she or he is learning and still developing that communication process.
This is so interesting. Okay, I'm gonna hurt my own feelings. I'm ready.
No.
As a professional, I'm just always fascinated by this. I'm not actually going to care. If you could change my face, what would you do?
I wouldn't do anything.
No, that's a cop-out answer. That's a cop-out answer.
Yeah, it's a cop-out, yeah. But that's the key. I mean, we just led into this perfectly, where I could change you to look exactly like I'd want you to look. And then you could be like, "Well, but I was really looking at my left eyebrow." And I could be like, "But your jawline looks amazing." And you're like, "But I didn't care about my jaw. I've done it." And they're like, "I care about my jawline. Yeah, okay, jawline looks a little better, but my left eyebrow is bugging me. So, or this scar on my cheek, which I didn't even notice in the beginning." So it really is. You gotta. I swear to you, I can change all of it. Okay. We can make you like the woman who wanted to be in the witness protection program. I could change you into a completely different person, but you don't want that. So why do it, right? So I think the real key is. One thing you could do is say, "If this is me, I want to look like this. What would you do?" Okay. That's a different story. But to say like, "What would you change about me?" And I think you're
so simple.
Don't take yourself. You don't want. It's easy.
It's. I guess I'm trying to think of how to even phrase it, because obviously I don't want anything done.
Yeah. Because I'm with the nose. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very natural. You're not going to tell anybody.
Thank you. But it's more like I know people who look so good in their mid 40s, 50s, and I'm like, I want to look like you when I get older. And they're like, well, it's like little bits of work that they got.
Still tweaks.
And so it's more of I'm more fascinated of
I would
for
tell
those kinds of things.
I think your mother actually alluded to it. There's many things. Her mother's her producer, for the record. like skincare, skin maintenance, maybe a little bit of bow ties. These kind of things they really can maintain and keep things nice. You showed me the woman who you said, like, this woman's, look how good she looks. She's 40.
Oh my gosh, she looks so good.
She has like thick skin, olive tone. Like,
What
she's
is
got all the
thick
points.
skin?
Yeah.
Explain this to me like I'm 5.
I mean, it literally is the thickness of the skin. So
How can you
some
tell?
people have, like, when you can see the nose and you can see the little cartilages under there, that's thin skin.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
when you can see really fine wrinkles, that's thin skin.
Okay.
Like, smile. So you have fine wrinkles when you smile.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, Asian don't Rasian, black don't crack. That's because they have thick skin, those populations. They have thick subcutaneous fat. So and they have good melanin that protects them from the sun. And I said, like, blue eye white people, we suck, like, from an Asian perspective. It's true. Not many people say it that way. You were like, I have dark eyes. I was like, yeah, but
I'm pale. I got blue eyes.
So you got the eye thing you got, but the rest you didn't get. So those things protect against aging, protect against the sun. Now, the thinner skin, it sees a little more contour. You see the bones pop a little more. You get a little more sharpness, The people with the rounder, softer faces come in to look sharper. The people with the sharper, thinner faces come in to look rounder, smoother, better. It's good for a plastic surgeon. It's bad for the world. That's my...
Interesting.
Yeah, so,
okay.
yeah, you have a little bit of thinner skin, kind of classic, thinner skin, subcutaneous fat is thin, you're kind of thin, right? So if you gain 10 pounds, you'd probably love it in your face.
Interesting.
Those things kind of look good as you start, you're young, right? So
yeah.
As you start to get a little older, you see some of these early signs of aging. But to answer your question, sun care, skincare, sun care, those kind of things are a no-brainer. It's like you're saving yourself so much money to keep your skin healthy, to keep your skin protected. Those are like 1, 2. Everybody should do those. That woman you showed me has like a built-in, sun lotion. You know what I mean? Just the littlest bit of melanin is helpful. So.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So do you have like products that you recommend for like sun care, things like that?
You know what? I'm horrible at this. I should be better.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all
right. Yes,
what
step my
are
fingers
your
out of me. They're
specialties?
like, dude, one of my partners is starting a skincare brand, so check him out, OXMD. Yeah, I'm like horrible at it.
Yeah, tell them to send me some. I'm ready.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
I need sunscreen. I'm pale.
Yeah, I mean, you do. And not even only the sunscreen, there's like moisturizers, there's cleansers, there's retinols. I mean, there's people who know so much more than me about it. So I don't, I know, a good amount about it, but there's just people better at it than me. So, I would get somebody that you trust and explain to them your goals. And it's your genetic mother, right?
Yeah.
So show her photos of her is beautiful because, like, oh, this is my mom. This is how she's aged. This is how I age. This is, she's got even a little more color than you.
I know.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Oh, she's listening right now.
Well, so she's from South Louisiana.
Okay.
But my dad's from like more like Middle Eastern area. Okay. So it's like, how is she?
Yeah, it's weird.
Darker than me. Yeah. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know the answer, but yeah.
I don't understand.
That's life. We were giving you compliments.
It's your Irish grandma. Oh my God, it's the Irish.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm Irish too. I call it crappy Irish skin, actually. That's what I call it. Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah,
I have another question, but before we move on from this, is there any other recommendations that you have for like this topic?
No, not particularly. I would say, find a surgeon, injector, aesthetic person you trust and just be really clear.
Really specific.
So many people want to come in and be like, what would you do to me? And those are the times, or I get a BB, I got my butt lifted and the guy did this and this, and this is, I was like, yeah, it's because they don't know what they're doing,
Yeah.
And, the bad part of plastic surgery, listen, if I operate, I get paid. Mm-hmm. I have unlimited vacation. I take a lot of vacation, but if I'm on vacation, I'm not getting paid. So I'm really incentivized to cut people. All right? I mean, if you come in and ask me for something, so it takes a lot of self-appreciation from a surgeon perspective to do what you want. You have to do what you think is right. So take it for what it's worth. Yeah, every surgeon, plastic surgeon, injector, I think that's the problem with the injector world. They're very incentivized to do more and more and more. Because if you do a syringe and filler with me, then you pay me $1,000. If you do 2, you pay me $2,000. If you do 3, you pay me $3,000. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, you should do 3.
Before I actually move on from this, I have a couple questions. And I want you to explain these things to me like I'm 5.
Okay.
Botox and fillers, what are they? What are the differences? And like, what are the pros and cons of them?
It's good. It's interesting. I was talking to somebody else that you gotta think like other people, not like yourself.
Yeah.
Because those are very basic but super commonly confused things. So Botox is a medicine. It's a neurotoxin. It stops the muscle movement.
Okay.
So if you put enough Botox in your bicep, then your arm would flip open because it would paralyze the bicep muscle and the tricep muscle would take over. So you see when I put my brows up like that, I get those wrinkles there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No. So I get those wrinkles. So that's the frontalis muscle picking my brows up. And then when I do that, I get like these ones. So that's the corrugators and the procerus muscles pulling the brow down. So if you really numb the frontalis, then the brows get heavy. But if you just only numb these ones, then the brows will go up. So the Botox just stops the muscle movement. Doesn't add any volume, doesn't affect anything. It's like if you had a piece of paper and you folded it, and then you had another piece of paper and you folded it every day for 7 days. You compared them. The one that was folded every day for 7 days is going to be deeper, sharper. It's going to have a nicer crease. So you want to avoid that nice crease, you do Botox.
Okay.
Filler is just purely, it's the consistency of honey, and you inject it and you fill. So you make the cheeks a little bigger, you make the lips a little plumper. Now we have like honey, water, hard plastic. We have 25 different FDA-approved Juvederm Ultra Plus, Vibella, Velour, Voluma, Radius, Sculptra, Bellatero, Bellafill, RHA2, 3,
That's a
4.
lot.
I can keep going, yeah. Like there's in the U.S., there's even less than the rest of the world. So we vary them by the viscosity for each area.
So what are the pros and cons of each?
Also, I mean, it's just on what you want. So if it's the wrinkles with dynamic movement you want to treat, then Botox, neurotoxin. By the way, there's Botox, Dysport, Xeomin, Myoblock, Daxi. There's a bunch of different neurotoxins. And then, so if it's the muscle, people say, oh, I'm sick of that line when I do this. You want to treat a neurotoxin. If they say, my lips are, I can't see the red lip, then you do a little volumization. If you say my chin is a little soft, you do a filler or a volumization. If you say my cheeks, seem flat, you want to volumize that area. So they both have. I mean, many people do most of or both of them. I guess I say they're the gateway drug to plastic surgery because they kind of like, oh, okay, it looks a little nicer.
Yeah. Are they both permanent, or is it something that you have to keep reading?
They're both temporary.
Okay.
The neurotoxins 3 to 6 months. The fillers 6 months to a year.
Okay.
We do a lot of fat transfer to kind of mimic the filler, and that's more permanent. But there are Radies, calcium hydroxyapatite, and Sculptra, polylactic acid, which are more biostimulating. They have a little bit more of a permanent quality to them, but you think about them as non-permanent. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's good and bad. It's almost people like. You can kind of like dabble. It's like dyeing your hair blonde, and then I'm like, okay, I look better as a brunette.
Yeah.
So you can kind of go back. So, but if you like it, you got to go back.
Yeah.
So that's the.
And it becomes a routine.
It's like
cost.
subscription model versus like.
Interesting. Okay. And I know we talked. I know we talked about how some people do very unconventional things, and it's all about what makes them happy in their own skin, and all what makes them happy and content with themselves. And if they like it, who cares if other people don't?
Amen.
We've established that. I still want to know, is there anything in particular that exists that you're like, why does this exist?
That's a good question. Why does it exist? I'm a pretty open guy, right? Like
I say ask because I know of someone that got a very specific procedure that I'm like, that sounds awful.
What is the procedure?
They
let us something or?
Yeah. They added 2 inches to their height.
Oh no! So I have patients that have done this. The femur, they cut their femur. This is a very dangerous, super expensive, crazy procedure.
So painful.
But for a lot of people, they would rather die than be short. So it's like
2 inches.
I know, but and by the way, they can do 2 inches the first time. The second time they can do 2 more. I bet they're taller than the next time you see them because you got to do the femur and then you got to do the tibia and fibula.
Explain the process of this procedure.
It's crazy. These are cutting the bone and then putting in these vice grips. They slowly crank them over time, and they just if you separate the bone and do this slowly, the bone there's osteoclasts and osteoblasts cells that will fill in the bone. So they just do this slowly over time. Extremely painful, extremely invasive, very dangerous.
But what's so dangerous about it?
You get these fat embolisms, you get DVTs. These are like blood clot issues that it's like your uncle who's an orthopedic surgeon probably would hate to hear about this.
Yes.
So, So it's inherently dangerous, but mean, they're literally, again, don't hate the player, hate the game, are people who would kill themselves or be taller. So for that person, if they get to that level, by all means, if they can get it solved with a psychiatrist, please do it. But, if you can't, there's guys and gals doing it safely, do it,
Where's a place to even do that safely?
You know what? The patient I'm thinking of offhand, and I know he goes somewhere in Las Vegas, but I don't know a surgeon.
The person that I know went to Mexico.
Again, I mean, there's very good surgeons in Mexico.
No, yeah.
So
for sure,
I'm not hard stopping that. I don't have like a friend.
I didn't know if that was like a hot spot of like,
not that
Mexico.
Not that I know of. I mean, they're shorter. Mexicans are shorter, so maybe.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, don't get me canceled. Remember, I said
No, don't worry.
But inherently and genetically, Mexicans are typically shorter. So.
Well, it's I actually know why. I know why that is. It's a genetic. So my brother and I went to Cancun for a wedding, and I'm a huge history nerd because that's what I used to teach is social studies. And I love social studies. So obviously I can't be in Cancun and not visit Chichen Itza. Obviously that's the old Aztec ruins. And so the water reserves had a lot of calcium in them. And so over time, as people were drinking water with calcium deposits, it would make their bones kind of grow wider. And so their bones would, that's why genetically people who are descendants from Aztecs are a little bit more broad, stocky, shorter. And so like that's the genetic reason. Okay, so their water reserve had calcium.
So you're backing my statement up, but then I don't know. Thank you for saving me.
You're welcome. No, it is a genetic thing. That's how you can tell where different people in Mexico their ancestry is from.
Statements come based on some sort of facts.
For some ancestry.
Okay, I think, I mean, that's one procedure which, man.
That's scary.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't advise anybody to do it, but I don't think the people that do it just to do it. They do it because it's very important to them. So, it's like, my kitchen is perfect. I love it. My wife wants to redo it.
Yep.
Why?
Why? It's so nice.
It works perfect. It's beautiful. Why are we? But guess what?
She wants to redo it.
We're going to redo it. Yeah. So
of course.
Most people would tell me.
Happy wife, happy life.
I would tell myself not to do it. I think everybody, there's no questions asked. Don't redo it, but we're going to redo it. So
of course.
When we can do it, we can afford it, and I trust the contractor. It's how it goes.
Well, somebody else who helped with this kind of procedure sent me another story. I didn't even remember I knew someone that got it until I got that story, and I was like, oh yeah, I do know someone that did that. But they had a client who, wanted to grow a couple inches taller, and so they did this certain, they cut the bones and they put in the vise, and it's
one of the worst procedures you can go through.
Grueling procedure, so painful, so dangerous.
Like 6 months of your life, yeah.
Awful. And he was 3-4 inches taller at the end of it.
He's walking around with confidence, like rocking. He's got to be a young guy.
He was so upset because he was supposed to be good at basketball. If I'm taller, I'm going to be good at basketball. Well, I'm still not any better at basketball. And they're like, we can't help you with that. We made you taller.
You got a rebound spin.
You should be able to rebound. I miss all the rebounds. Well, that's not an us issue. That's a skill issue. But he was just
back to the communication. I think communication is key from the surgeon. Like, hey, I'm going to make you taller.
I can't help you with basketball skills.
You're not going to, That's,
he wouldn't jump higher if he has more like leg mass. Would he not have more leg muscle? Is that
I mean, the muscle probably does grow a little bit, but not that I know. I mean, don't hold me on it. Yeah.
I would assume that he could jump higher.
I mean, he's taller, so where he's starting from is taller. So I mean,
Interesting. That's interesting. I don't know why I assumed that. I guess I just.
Somebody can correct us.
People love doing
that. The person doing the surgery is like,
no,
they can't actually jump higher. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe the muscle will extend. I don't know. But can you think of any more misconceptions people might have about plastics or procedures? Any of these procedures in general, or anything in the plastics world?
I don't have anything profound to say. I think
it needs to be
generally, I like to be profound now. Generally, I wish I was more prepared. I think generally the people that go to plastics are happy people. They're fun. They're having a good time with life. You can see like that's probably why we do so well on the social media space. Because we're having a good time. We do it safely. We're all well trained. We're all board certified or whatever it takes to get to this level. But yeah, my advice is just find somebody you trust and be clear with your goals. I got a joke. I got an interesting riddle.
I'm ready.
So how do you hide $100 from doctors? I'm going to go through a few.
Okay.
So how do you hide $100 from a neurosurgeon?
Put it in their feet.
Tape it on their kid's forehead. How do you hide $100 from an orthopedic surgeon? These are for your uncles.
How?
Put it in a book. How do you hide $100 from a plastic surgeon?
How?
You can't.
I love
So keep that in mind because like plastic surgeons are very all surgeons, by the way, are incentivized. But there's something about an ER physician too. I can't remember this. Like, Paula Tynesol or something. We should tell your info.
Oh, I will happily.
Show them that clip. Yeah.
I'll see one tomorrow.
Yeah, send them a clip.
I'll see the orthopedic one tomorrow.
Yeah. I think they'll appreciate it. But yeah, I don't need a book. I do mine.
Yeah, no, he will. He will. Oh my god, I can't wait to see the neurosurgeon.
And neurosurgeon one because those guys are working a.
Oh
But
my God,
and when I hate to always say this, those people are working their butts off, and it's like just notorious that they're the hardest working people in the hospital. So
Yeah, he's right now he's at Yale now.
But he might be. You get to a level when he does chill out eventually, but
He does not know the word
chill.
chill. He doesn't know what that
You
means.
shouldn't. You shouldn't get into that field if you like to chill.
He not even just that, like he's like 65 and still like CrossFits every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you need to calm down.
But that's what you want to do in medicine.
Yeah. I guess you're right. That's true.
I think you want all of your surgeons to be like that, by the way, because I'm also like that to a certain degree. But yeah.
That's crazy. 65 and CrossFitting. I'm like, do you like ever go home?
He doesn't like his kids. That's fine.
Well, they're out of the house at this point.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
So he's at Yale and they're both in New York. So they're
That's fair.
out doing their own things. I had another question. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. But
What about? Are you happy with what you've done? Because you totally changed your career. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I am. Because I think in a lot of ways I'm still doing what I loved to do. Because like I love sitting in front of a class and just talking about history and making kids care about history and like making kids care about something, And I loved the relationships and I loved so much about that job. And I still feel like I'm doing a lot of it just in different ways. And some of it's on camera and some of it's off camera. Like a lot of, and I think like a lot of people in my audience kind of catch on just based on like my interactions with other content creators. But I love helping people just getting into content. Like I love teaching them about the platforms and about the equipments. And I love like helping them figure out what works for them and what are ways that they can expand their brand and like do extra stuff off camera. And I love fostering relationships. I do a lot with YouTube of like hosting events for local content creators in different states to like build those communities because it is an isolating job if you don't have like a daytime job that you go to every day. Exactly. I love doing all of those things off camera, and on camera I still feel like I'm making, even if it's just a couple people a day, like care about something that someone else is going through or experiencing. So a lot of my favorite parts of teaching I feel like I'm still doing and I never really left. I just kind of traded the having to take the verbal abuse and the emotional abuse and sometimes even physical abuse in some schools and like not have to take it anymore, if that makes sense.
I was telling your mother actually when we were going out to get drinks that the creator space is just the new age entrepreneur. So like you weren't, as much as you wanted to be a teacher, you probably weren't made to be a teacher. Because you probably were a very good teacher, but it's just like, it's so limiting. It's like, and then COVID, obviously you're a COVID person where it was pivotal in your development or your like professional development. Like COVID happened in the middle of my career. So like, it was a blip, but it was before and I was after, I dealt with it. But for you, it was like very significant probably, right? Yeah. So I think, it's interesting. But anybody who had an inkling of like, what the fuck am I doing? During COVID, did it. Yeah. So, and that was really
well, funny enough, and I don't know if I've even said this on camera before or not. I might have. Like, it's not a secret or anything. But if I didn't do social media, I still probably would have left teaching. Yeah. Just because online, I hated the isolation, and I was so bored and lonely all the time, I had the FBI application sitting on open on my computer for like 3 months.
Why?
When we just because I was gonna go do forensic psychology with the FBI. Like I loved
You were
that
like,
stuff.
application. You're saying, okay.
The application, yeah. And I would just sat there and I stared at it every day.
So you need to get some FBI person down here.
Yeah.
You know what?
Huh?
I've been told the FBI has a file with my name on it.
Really?
So my first partner, who I love, shout out. I won't say his name so we don't get like all messed up here. He has 16 felonies. He now lives in Iran. Like the FBI raided our office. It was a mess. And so then he was supposed to go to jail, and for his max sentence was 160 years in prison.
Wow.
So I wrote
for what? Like plastic surgery?
It was like Medicare fraud BS. So it really wasn't, but he's like overbilling Medicare fraud. They were going after these doctors to like make examples. So I wrote the judge this like really long letter being like, hey, and he is really a good person, brilliant and very good person. Was like if you're a doctor that takes insurance, the general person's not going to appreciate this, but you kind of like the billing is, there's a subjective component to the billing. So you come in for that mole on your cheek and they cut it off and they say, oh, it's a 2 centimeter or 8 millimeter mole. That it pays $600, but a 10 millimeter mole pays $1,000. So the doctor puts 10. Nobody's looking, nobody's like paying attention.
Yeah.
Like the nurse was there, a lot of money.
Interesting.
So he was doing like lasers along those lines. So whatever, they got him. They made an example. So he got charged. Then he got convicted. He fought it. His max sentence was 16 felonies, 160 years in prison.
Wow.
So I read the judge this like really long letter. I'm like, this is a good person. Do not put him in prison, please.
Yeah.
Like he's like so abuse of power, whatever. And so the judge, in the day of the sentencing, says, okay, Dr. So-and-so is going to be under the care of Dr. Caughlin for 3 years. So I was his parole officer essentially for like 3 years. We had to do all this shit. And my wife is still pissed at me because she's like, do you know how? And like I had to call the FBI every third week and explain to them what we were doing. And but yeah, so I got a little.
Wow.
It's crazy.
And so after 3 years, he just left the country?
And I mean, he couldn't work at McDonald's. He's 16 felonies.
Wow.
Because part of my thing was I said I'd get him a job at Cook County to do Mohs surgery, like this Durham surgery, and they wouldn't hire a felon. So yeah, I mean, it was like I lost a lot of faith in the judicial system with it, honestly, because they were just making an example. There are people who abuse it, but so my attorney was like, you better be clean for the next couple of years. Yeah. The FBI has a file that says Ben Caughlin on it, like I was like, I'm always clean. So,
that's so scary.
Yeah, it was very intense. And that was like my second year out of fellowship. So I was just like, out there.
Wait a second. Yeah. What? Oh,
and they took his license, and he was super busy, making a ton of money, which is why I think they targeted him. So then all of his patients, I still see some of his patients, his patients would come, and they'd be like, he'd be behind my shoulders, and they'd be like, oh, so doctor, what would you do? And he'd be like, oh, now Coughlin's the face maker, go see Caughlin. And he'd be like telling me how to do it. I mean, it was like a little mini fellowship. It was a really fun time. But
wow.
I texted him on the way here, actually, thinking about that I might talk about it.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't talk about it much either because like it's like if you research it, it was like like the way they spun it was messed up.
Oh.
Like I mean, he's one of the best guys I know.
That's so sad. How did they spin it?
They like that he was scamming the Medicare systems, that he was doing all these things. I mean, his patients loved him. He was using like an aesthetic laser to treat these pre-skin cancers, but it also made people look a little nicer. So it was like a Blue Cross driven mess where like they made it seem like he was scamming in a way. Like I said, like, dude, if I was taking insurance at the time, I would have done the same thing. Like I really didn't think it was off limits.
Who was getting charged more, the people or the insurance
The insurance companies.
Oh.
Yeah, like I know, but the people were saving money and getting nice treatments. They were being happy. They were getting their skin cancers treated. Like it was this like asinine system where so it got really complicated, but it was formidable from
the
my
original, not original, like Luigi, whatever.
Probably, and he's golden white, right?
Okay, yeah.
Not that we're promoting.
No,
Luigi,
we're not promoting anything like that. We're not saying that in the slightest bit. We would never do that. We are law-abiding citizens with files. I don't know if I hope I don't have a file. I don't know. Who knows? I feel
You
like
might now.
Oh,
You better
no.
go back on that application. They're probably tracking you. Yeah.
Well, speaking of, and like this is not about your friend at all, unless I spit, but can you think of like anything or examples of like plastic surgeons kind of making the job more difficult for other plastic surgeons, like maybe doing things that they shouldn't, that either creates a bad stereotype or
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people that way overdo it. Probably more than most of us are, super tightly trained in our societies, hold us to certain measurements where you really can't get outside of what you should be doing. So probably more than anything can be people outside of the system that do it. I mean, not anybody, but in certain states, almost anybody can be doing these kind of surgeries without the proper qualifications. So I would say that's probably could be the issue, is where people aren't certified in their area, and they really aren't in it for the right reason, because it's a very entrepreneurial, very money-making business, like the $100 deal. Like, you can't hide it from a plastic surgeon or anybody who wants to be a plastic surgeon. So, yeah, I mean.
So, like, what kind of anyone can do these procedures without like a medical license?
No, you have to have a medical license to do certain things. It's kind of like I said, where let's say I'm somebody who can do, a gallbladder, but I've never done another surgery, So you're certified to do surgery. You can just start doing these things, which you end up like practicing on people, What's that documentary, Dr. Depp?
Yeah.
He's like a neurosurgeon. It's just like a bad person in the wrong spot. And, it's a powerful position and people trust what we're doing. And, so it only takes one or two bad people to make a mess of it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Can you think of anything that like the general public might do or not do that makes your job harder as their surgeon? I know we talked a lot about communication.
Yeah, I think that's number one by far. Like I prefer to see inspo photos. It's hard when, the short, little, scrawny, chubby white guy shows you Michael Jordan. So you got to be I tell people to kind of keep it somebody who kind of semi looks like you. I think communication really is around the clock, number one. The general public, probably like the filters. One thing I would say is the real famous people that we all know are getting these procedures not owning up to it, because then the young people kind of be like, oh man, why does she look so good? That's not fair.
Yeah.
But it's like, she doesn't really look like that.
Yeah.
Also, I've operated on people who are that A-lister level and who are full-time content scrubbers. So like, for instance, you would hire them, you would pay them $100,000. You would say, I don't want any photo or video of me out unless I look perfect. And they pay thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to bury any bad photo. So that's like we all have a photo where we're like, oh my God. And then we have like photos where we're like, look really good, right? So they just only get the photos they look really good. So I'll have basically be like, hey, I want to look like this person. I was like, hey, have you ever seen that person in person? They don't look like that. Like, you're just seeing
it's the filter.
They're seeing their three best photos over and over. So that's probably the part that makes it the hardest for us. I think AI, I mentioned like AI, algorithm driven. I'm writing a book right now, Elgor Beauty, The Girl with Many Faces, coming out in June. I'll ping you.
Please.
If you Google or Chat GPT Elgor Beauty, ALGOR Beauty, I'm kind of coining this term, which is like the algorithm's manipulation of like people's sense of beauty, because now it's out of our control. It's like they want click, they want extreme, they want big, they want sharp, they want strong, and it's becoming a little bit inhuman. So I think that's probably the hardest part of my job right now.
Okay.
People being like, I want to look like this, and they show me a photo and their eyeballs are bigger.
And like, that's not
possible.
natural.
Yeah. So, but it's so good now that the general person can't really appreciate it.
Interesting.
And some of them, me as well.
No, that makes so much sense. I know
it's a mess. Yeah.
I have this app. It's called Rimini, and literally the whole point of the app was to be able to basically save old photos, like from back in the day where the quality is not that great. And it's basically supposed to de-blur things.
Yeah.
And so like if I ever take a screen scrape of a video and I'm like, oh, I could use that for a thumbnail or I could use that for a photo, I'll de-blur it. But what I've actually found is that as AI becomes more popular,
Okay, it's a little hotter.
Yeah, the app kind of like tries to AI edit, and there's not really a way to turn that off anymore.
Yeah,
and now
no.
it's like, gosh.
I think we're not far along where like why would any commercial or any billboard have a real human in it? Because these people can develop these for very, very cheap.
Exactly.
Instead of paying you to do an ad with your face because people know you, then why not just have like build somebody that looks like you to do it? So
Exactly.
I think we're not far away from that. And the line between reality and algorithm driven beauty kind of stuff is. It's going to be interesting. I'm trying to kind of focus on it. I really am trying to get the word. My book is almost like a public service announcement.
Yeah.
It follows like a patient and a surgeon like through this process and how it also manipulated the surgeon. So it also made the surgeon in this book do some things that they're like, oh wow, this is going to look better on Instagram. So like it's there's multiple people culpable.
When does it come out?
I'm hoping June. It's like my editor has like the last section now. I'm like, it's taking a long time. I've been writing for like 4 years.
Yeah,
but
send me a copy.
it takes more. Yeah, I'll send you one. Yeah, I have like a list of people I would send copies to, right off the bat. So it's showing. It's like it's fiction, but based on reality.
Okay.
It's like based on like the mess of all my patients and all the surgeons I know. But yeah, it's a little bit of a public service announcement, and hopefully it gets out soon enough. We'll see.
No, I love that. Okay, I can't. I'm a big bookworm.
Well, I think you'll like it. Yeah. Okay. It's got a little bit of science in it to explain why people are making these decisions, like from that manipulation.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, isn't it just magnifying our already beauty, whatever issues? No, this is creating new issues. So this is like we're getting to a next level phase. This is an entire new level. This is creating like a non-human, inhumane sense of what's attractive, what's hot, what's beautiful, and by the algorithm, right? So. The concern is that the algorithm is running by itself. It looks at the clicks. It just like keeps molding and molding and molding. You can see those people that are starting to look like not normal. But, in their phone, they can look pretty good. But then you see them in person, you're like, what the
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
That's what it is.
That's so scary.
A little bit.
Holy moly.
But it's not I don't want to scare people.
No, but like it's
I think
important.
it's more about the literacy. It's like, it's the AI. It's just appreciating it. If everybody knew it, I think you don't have children.
No.
I think my kids are going to be fine.
Okay.
Your cats are going to be fine. Because they grew up, but they know. Like, they're going to be suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, my mom is the one who, like, sends me. She's like, oh, my God, did you see this? I'm like, that is totally
That's
insane.
not real.
Yeah.
Mom.
But, and then probably some people not within the mix, like, parts of America that just aren't exposed as much. So
Yeah, absolutely. Can you think of any other things that you think that people just need to be aware about in this field? Or if not, just some general words of advice or encouragement or last word?
My last words would be nice. The world needs more love. Especially now, it's a mess. I think if everybody thought like, you know what, I'm going to be nice today. Everything, like all around, like the way you look, the way they look, the way he looks, the way she looks. I think it'd be just much an easier world. So yeah, that's all I got. I mean, and then don't do anything crazy.
I love that. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I learned so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Like literally, this is so fascinating to me.
I think this field, for better or worse, we're in the spotlight now.
Yeah.
I think I joke that COVID and Zoom or video was made by a plastic surgeon, probably me, because you're gonna see me, you're gonna like edit this. You're like, if you're gonna send it to me, I'll be like, dude, you could have made my jawline look better,
Yeah, let me just like.
It's like
real
the
quick.
reality of,
Snap my fingers real fast.
These worlds, there's like a microscope literally or a magnification literally on our appearance and how we look. Yeah. So.
I think that's one of the reasons that I value, like, when I was a teacher, I kind of had this mindset that I always thought, how can I make kids less stressed out about testing? Because test anxiety is such a big thing for kids, especially these days. And I kind of originally opted to purposefully put in a couple typos every now and then as like because, of course, the kids are going to raise their hand. Ms. Rogers,
they feel good.
this is a little messed up.
Yeah.
And, you guys know, silly
so smart.
me.
Yeah.
You guys feel like I always mess that up. And I never, after a while, it just became a habit to do that. And I never really kind of lost that. So now even like when I do these episodes, like there was one time I just completely forgot to plug in mics and we had like the crappy audio in those mics. And I'm like, it's fine. It is what it is. It's part of my brand. Nothing's perfect. It's gonna be
far from it is the key. And nothing's perfect. I think many people like are so the people that see me are so critical of themselves, and I say I'm like, listen, you're already critical of yourself. We're gonna be even more critical post-op. So just like give me a break, give you a break,
Yeah.
but it's easy to say when you're beautiful.
Like, yeah, like yeah, not everything has to be perfect, and that's fine, and it's okay, and it's quality, the content.
And you know what? As far as I know, we're only here once,
So true. Yeah, we don't, yeah, you never know. YOLO.
YOLO, exactly. I like YOLO. I'll end it on YOLO.
But thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see y'all next week.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.